Arrow Season 6, Episode 2, Tribute. Is it getting better? Is it winning me back? Is it winning you back? Let's talk about it and let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments. Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk for Episode 2 of Season 6 of Arrow, Tribute. I think overall I liked this episode. It wasn't that bad and I liked the intensity of it and stuff. There's still some issues I have, but I think those issues are more just the show Arrow in general rather than just this one specific episode. But here's what I liked about this episode. Number one, we already go into this episode with something interesting going on, and that something interesting going on, a picture of Oliver Queen, has been released to the press in the Green Arrow outfit. Now, I still stand by what I said last time. Serves you right, Oliver Queen. My gosh, y'all just take off your mask, standing outside, hanging out at crime scenes. Are you freaking serious? You think because you knocked out the bad guy, you could take off your mask? No. So, I'm glad this happened. Of course, what this episode does is as throughout the course of it, you find out it's a fake picture. So, somebody is apparently trying to frame Oliver Queen for being the Green Arrow. Does this somebody know Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow? So, see, like, interesting questions like this are now raised. I don't even know what to predict with it, to be honest. So, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that whole plot line. Who released this picture of Oliver Queen as the Green Arrow trying to frame the mayor for being a vigilante? So, I will be very curious to see that plot line, where that goes, and how that develops. Our Russian friend Anatoly, where Oliver and Anatoly were friends before, they're now just flat out enemies. And, you know, Anatoly now has to prove himself and has to prove that he's brava. He has to prove that he is strong because they exiled him from Russia. They exiled him because, well, he was friends with Oliver. And, yeah, so now, you know, he's got this whole thing going on where he's taking these Markovians hostage and wants $20 million from the city, which, you know, threw an extra bit of pressure on Oliver to try to figure this stuff out. And he had his hands tied because, well, now everybody's thinking he's the Green Arrow. He is, but everybody's thinking he's the Green Arrow, so, you know, he's got his hands tied. At the same time, I'm thinking, why are your hands tied? Green Arrow needs to be out there now more than ever because, you know, if Oliver holds up in the office and Green Arrow disappears, that's even more suspicious. But either way, it was kind of interesting, and what was more interesting about it was not so much just the plot line of the hostages, but mostly the plot line of now what's going to happen between Anatoly and Green Arrow. Like, is he going to be a villain of this season, a main villain of this season? What is going to happen with their relationship? And I think that's good that this question has been raised. And so I'm curious to see where all of that's going to go. So those are some of the things that I think this episode has done a great job of. Also, William. The plot line with William and Oliver now being torn between being a good dad and being the Green Arrow. And I think they boiled it down with this promise that Oliver made his son that I liked a lot. He made the promise to his son that I will always come home to you. He goes, that's not up to you. And just that one statement hit Oliver hard. And I really liked how they took that plot through the episode and just made that something that he was really chewing on. And so he offers the role of Green Arrow, the mantle of Green Arrow, to Diggle. Which, hey, if anybody's going to take it, should be Diggle. The other interesting thing going on here is going to be Diggle, knowing that he got shrapnel in his shoulder, which caused nerve damage, degenerative nerve damage. So he's only going to be getting worse from where he's at. And already, you know, he's already let Wild Dog down, he's let the Canary down, and now Oliver is saying, here, take the mantle of the Green Arrow. It really should be you. So there's some trouble brewing there, and I'm finding all of that interesting, and those are really good plot lines. Another positive, the fighting, man. Anytime this episode zeroed in on Oliver Queen as the Green Arrow fighting, it was amazing. Even the few scenes where it was Diggle and Canary and they were fighting, like, yeah, that was cool. But what I've really missed about the show is the amazing fighting, choreography, the action sequences. And so there's a couple great sequences when Arrow is beating up bad guys that I thoroughly enjoyed. So now hitting some of my negatives. And again, my negatives are not just really for this episode, but just kind of the overall feel of Arrow. I don't like Team Arrow. I really don't. There's just too much going on. Too many side stories and plot lines and things to keep trying to keep track of. And it's just not my favorite thing to be doing with this show. My favorite part of the show was seasons 1 and 2, where this show was Batman Begins. And it was like dark and gritty and it was awesome. And it was just Arrow. And then he brought in Arsenal. And then he brought in Speedy. but it was Speedy taking the place of Arsenal. So it was always Arrow with a sidekick on the street with Diggle and Felicity on comms and on the computer, and every once in a while, Diggle would pop in as backup. But overall, it wasn't tons of stuff to keep track of. And I liked Felicity, but they broke her. They broke her when she and Oliver decided to date. So when they did that whole thing, I think that broke the character of Felicity, struggling to get that character back to a point where it's like, okay, this is the Felicity that I know and loved from seasons 1 and 2 and half of season 3. After that, they broke the character for me, and I'm having a hard time even getting back to liking her, especially since season 4 when he was putting together Team Arrow, and she's like, reveal your secret identity to strangers. It's the only way to show trust. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And then case in point, one of the new team recruits was a spy. So case in point right there. And so it just, I don't know. She's still, I mean, I think she's better this season, but she still kind of irks me because of some of this past stuff with her in other seasons. So it's difficult, but that's just kind of where I am. I'd actually rather have Felicity be gone and Curtis take her place. Like, I like his personality, hate his costume as Mr. Terrific. So I'd rather see him take Felicity's place and make really cool gadgets and stuff. That's kind of where I'd rather see that play out. But, I mean, that's just one of those overwhelming negatives. The other thing, I don't know if this is a negative, but I think it'd be fine to have Diggle as the Green Arrow for an episode or two. But, you know, we've grown with Oliver Queen through this show. So I'm really hoping what they don't do is make him the Green Arrow for, like, until, like, the mid-season finale. Like, I don't want it to carry over that long. Give it, like, 2 episodes where we can see him trying to figure out how to do stuff with his degenerative nerve damage. Like, give us 2 episodes where Oliver finds out, and then maybe Oliver tries to work with him, and then maybe it doesn't work. Which then can bring us to another great story point between Oliver and William, and Oliver having the overwhelming calling to be the Green Arrow, but the overwhelming calling to be a dad. The one person who he wants to take his place can't do it. Like, that would be some very interesting story things. And then you throw in a great villain, there we go. So, yeah. Well, there it is. Those are my thoughts on this episode. You know, I think mostly positive for the episode for the most part. I still have some negative feelings about the show overall, but this season so far isn't bad, but then again, it's only been 2 episodes. So, Arrow, I'm rooting for you. You're my favorite show, seasons 1 and season 2. I have faith in you, so come on, Arrow. Let's do this. Fire the team, and let's do this. So, what did you think of Arrow Season 6, Episode 2, Tribute? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Next to the subscribe button is the bell. Click it so you're notified the moment I drop new videos. One way you can help support Durbania is to become a patron. I have my Patreon page, so if you would like to check that out, there's rewards for different levels of giving, so be free to check that out if that's something that you would like to do. If not, no worries. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much for checking out Durbania. I'm Durbin.